Hi, I'm Will from Dash, and in the last lecture we learned about the print function and the input function, and we started developing our first chatbot. But we couldn't do so much with it because we didn't know how to retrieve the information from the user and manipulate it. And this is what we're going to do in this lecture and learn about the variables in Python. So without further ado, let's dive in. Okay, so the first thing we are going to do is to load the script that we did in the last lecture. And I will do that opening my editor here and opening the chatbot.py. Okay, and if you are on Windows, you can do the same by going to the location where you saved your script, right-clicking and clicking Edit with idle and Edit with idle and the version here. Okay, then it opens the script that we did. Okay, this is the same screen that I have here. And if you want to execute that, I can call Python chatbot and call this from my terminal, and I can type my name here and the program ends. You can do the same thing on Windows by pressing F5 to run that, and I can call up here, I can type my name and the program ends. Okay, so you can edit the script here, press F5 and it will run here. You can test that. Okay, right, let's do something more interesting here. So let's open here and we enter our name and the chatbot just finishes, goes away. So we want to be polite and respond to the user. So let's say nice to meet you. So if we call print with the argument nice to meet you in quotes, this is what we call a string, then this will show to the user, right? So let's execute that. So it says, hello, what's your name? My name is Will, and it says nice to meet you. Okay, better, right? There's a question mark here that's missing. Right, so the chatbot didn't do anything with the information that we just sent to it. So we want to use that information to say nice to meet you and the name of the user, right? How can we do that? So let's learn about variables in Python. So I will show here the interpreter in my other screen. So here we have the interpreter and we can store values in variables. What are variables? Variables are names that holds information, that holds data. So let me do a name here. I will just call my variable name. So I will type name equals and the value that I want to store in this variable. So I'll type 2, for example. So now whenever I type name, it's like I'm typing 2, the data that's inside this variable. So if I print name, it will print 2. Okay? So it's just an alias of the information that is stored in the variable. So I can do name equals Will, and whenever I type print name using the name of the variable, it will print my name. Okay? And this is the same that we can do here, because input returns a value and we can store that in a variable called name. So I say name equals and input returns a value. So it's like I'm substituting this with the value that I enter. So if I type Will, it's like doing this. Okay? Right, so how can we insert this information here in print? So one way to do that is by using the arguments of the print function. So you can pass as many arguments you want to the print function. And you do that by separating the arguments by a comma. Okay, so the way that you pass multiple arguments to a function is by separating it with a comma. So I can do that, and let me pass name to function. So print will print this data and then print this data next to it. Okay? Right, then let's save and execute. And it says, hello, what's your name? And then, nice to meet you, Will. Okay? It didn't stop asking me for information because I removed the input from there. Right? I just passed Will there. Okay, let's put input here. And now our program is very flexible because I can type any information that I want and it will show the message for that specific user. So let's try to run that chatbot.py. Hello, what's your name? I will type Will, and it says nice to meet you, Will. And if I run again and say Robert, then it says nice to meet you, Robert. If I type anything, it will say nice to meet you and the thing that you wrote. Okay? So this is a way of making your program dynamic, so you can change the behavior of your program by the data that you are inputting to your program. Okay? Another thing that we can do is, well, we just called name here. That's an alias of the value, right? But input is doing the same thing, right? So when we type the information here, the input is just being substituted by the data that I typed, right? We can do the same thing here by just calling input here, right? This will be substituted by the data we just entered. So let's see if that works. Let me clear the screen here and type in hello, what's your name? Will, and it works in the same way. So we didn't actually need variables to do that, but in the future we are going to use variables because they are very flexible. We can do many other things with variables. Okay, so using this you can start a conversation and improve your chatbot. For instance, you can do nice to meet you, and then you can ask another thing like what's your age, and you can print wow, you are input. Then we can pass another argument, years old. So you can use arguments to make the phrase that you want to respond to the user. So let's try to do that. What's your name? Will. Nice to meet you, Will. What's your age? I'm whatever, 40. Whoa, you are 40 years old. See? So you can start to play with these two functions and the arguments of these functions. And now that you know about variables, we will improve this knowledge in the future, and we will manipulate the data that's stored on the variables. This will be done in the next lecture, so stay tuned. If you like this video, please hit the like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next lectures. See you, bye bye!